Last week we talked about the basics on how to heal from your trauma. As a recap, we said that in order to heal, the emotional unmet need needs to be met, and that can happen in two ways. Either the person that caused the trauma meets the need, which is unlikely, or you learn the tool of self-validation, also known as meeting your own unmet needs. We also talked about the different wounded inner children that live within us, and also the concept of the inner healed parent. If you did not watch the video yet, I would recommend you to go watch that first, or else you will be missing important context, kind of like watching a movie that already started. The link is in the description below or in one of these two corners, I can't remember which one. We left last week's video wondering how do we learn the tool of self-validation, which is the key for our healing to be completely independent of the person that caused the wound. So, let's get right into it! Hi there, I'm Ivan with over a decade of experience facilitating ceremonies. So, how do we learn this tool of self-validation? Because this is the tool in which you meet your own unmet needs, what we need to do is follow certain steps that are in a way opposite to what happened when the trauma was caused. First, we start with understanding ourselves by being our own compassionate witness. When a need goes unmet, usually one of the things that we feel is alone and unseen in our experience. Basically, we don't feel understood. So first we need to see ourselves in that experience so that part of ourselves can feel understood, feel seen, and not feel alone anymore. One way to do this is to just simply close your eyes and spend some time seeing yourself going through that experience. Pretend that you are that person's parent or friend, whatever suits the situation better. As a parent or friend, just make that person that's going through a painful experience feel that they are not alone, because you are there to witness their painful experience through your eyes of compassion. You say, "You are not alone in your pain. I am here to be with you as you go through it. I am here." If you've never done healing work, this might sound strange, but it is extremely effective because what you are doing is creating a space in which these parts of yourself are finally being seen, even if it is just by yourself. And whether that is by yourself or by someone else, being seen in that experience already starts moving things within you and starts the healing process. Second step is that we bring awareness to the fact that whatever happened to us was not our fault. In a child's mind, their parents are always right, and if they are angry for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what that is, it is always the child that did something wrong. We as children take the fault for everything, always. To make this point clearer, the child never thinks, "Oh, my parents are just wounded because they have not been loved properly, and their uncalled anger about me not eating my veggies has nothing to do with me, but it is a projection of their own unaware and unprocessed anger towards their own parents." Right? The child thinks, "Oh my God, I made my parents angry, I must have done something terrible, I'm a failure, I am flawed." What makes things worse is that because our parents have been treated that way, they learned that that is the way that they should treat our children too. What this means is that consciously or unconsciously, they purposely try to make the child feel that they are the problem. And of course the child believes it. This creates the thought, when things happen, they are my fault. If you start digging, you might find that this kind of thought shows up in you all the time. But the true answer is, no, it is not your fault. This is what this step is about. Things were not our fault. Whatever pain I was in was not my fault. By doing that, the belief system that you are flawed starts losing power, and that will help us in the step in which we will be giving back to our parents what they gave us that did not belong to us. To be told that things are not our fault and that we are not flawed, it is also one of our needs that have gone unmet, and this step takes care of that too. Number 3, we bring awareness to the places in which we talk to ourselves in the same way in which our parents used to talk to us, and we stop it. We use the model of our parents to learn how we should talk to ourselves. So if you stop to think about it for some time, you will realize that your self-talk is identical to the way in which your parents used to talk to you. That is because as kids, we make their word our model and template for truth. But as adults, we know that model is flawed because no parent is fully healed, and therefore, part of their model must come from wounding. If we would know from the beginning that a big part of how they address themselves to us is from their wounding, then we would not take it in. But because we don't know that, we let all of that in, we make it normal, we don't question it, and we make it the truth. So this is the time to undo all of that. It isn't easy because we have to become aware of the things that we have normalized that are not normal or healthy. But this is a critical step for the next one. Once we realize that those things are normal and that in a way we have been implanted a virus against our consent, a fire starts burning within us that says, this isn't fair, this isn't mine, get this crap out of me. So let's go to the next step. Number 4, we give it back to our parents. That fire that burns inside that says, this is unfair, this isn't mine, get this crap out of me, is the perfect place to look at your parents from and say to them, this isn't mine, it is yours, take it back. This is an internal step. You close your eyes, you feel all of those things, and you just simply give it back. You do it because it does not belong to you. You take the side of your inner child. You become their protector. The child knows now that it isn't theirs, and therefore they also know that they have the power to give back what does not belong to them. And by doing that, we accomplish 2 things. First, by giving it back, we create a space within us in which that belief system used to be. And that space will want to be filled with whatever is true. For example, I am not flawed. I am perfect the way I am, even with my imperfections. I am lovable. 2, we also give to our parents their wounding back, which we cannot heal for them even if we wanted. By doing that, we are changing something in the energetics of the relationship in which we at least are giving them the chance to try to heal it themselves. And we are also removing the burden of carrying their stuff, which we cannot heal even if we wanted. The tangible effects of this is that it can change how we relate or speak to them, what we allow or stop allowing from them, or even subtle differences that create meaningful impact. Number 5, allow the feelings to show up, feel them, and express them. The most common ones are anger, sadness, and grief. The anger is toward our parents for making us feel things that did not belong to us. We are entitled to that anger. It is healthy to feel it. We must feel it. We must feel it because we actually are. Even if you don't feel that anger right now, I know that it is there, and I will explain in a second why I'm so sure about it. Now, I am not saying to fake that anger or to invent it or to come up with it from a place where it does not exist. I am pretty sure that the anger is there because the child experiences anger when their parents put something on them that does not belong to them, but it has very little space to express it, to feel it, or to even understand what is going on with them in those moments. Because the child does not know what's going on with them or cannot express those feelings then go unprocessed and repressed. So what we're doing is lending our wounded inner child our bodies so that they can use it to express those feelings that they couldn't then. The child was and will continue to be angry until those feelings are fully felt and expressed. This step isn't easy because the child doesn't feel safe to feel it and express it because they didn't feel safe back then. Otherwise, those emotions wouldn't be repressed and unprocessed. So you might need to be patient with them. And it is very common to bypass this step with phrases like, but my parents did the best they could with what they knew. And that is actually true. Your parents did the best they could with what they knew. But what it is not true is that that is a good excuse to dismiss that child's experience about how they felt and continues to feel. The adult knows that they did the best they could, but the child doesn't because it is not the child's responsibility to know that. Compassion towards our parents is a necessary step to complete the healing process. But if we bring it in the wrong moment, like right now, then the healing process will actually stop. This is very important to understand. It is not that we're being a-holes toward our parents. It only means that compassion towards our parents in this moment, it is usually used as a form of bypassing the uncomfortable step of allowing those uncomfortable feelings to emerge. You might be drawn to it. I certainly was many times, and sometimes even knowing this very well, continue to do so. So if that happens, just remember, the child felt angry, that anger went unprocessed, and therefore the child continues to feel angry and needs a body to express it. If you want to heal, you should care for the child's needs much more than for your parents, at least for now. So we talked about anger. Another common feeling that gets trapped is sadness. Analog to the anger, that is the sadness the child felt while going through that experience that got trapped because the child had nobody to share that sadness with. They had to deal with it all by themselves, and that is sometimes too much to bear for a kid. So the defense mechanism is to disconnect from their emotions, and so the sadness goes unprocessed. So allow yourself to reconnect and feel that sadness again, and let it express it through your body, through tears, or whichever way that sadness wants to be expressed. The same with the anger. Just let it be expressed the way the anger wants, by yelling, crying, hitting a pillow, shaking, cursing, howling, or whichever way the anger wants. Now the last feeling is grief. It is the grief of the child that you could have been if your parents would have been diligent. It is the grief of the person that you never became. As you feel the grief, hold yourself in your arms in the same way in which you hug and hold your friends and family when they are going through grief. Grief will inevitably bring tears if you're really feeling it. So take some time, give yourself the space, and if those tears come up and it is a little bit uncomfortable, know that that's okay. The more grief you process, the lighter that you will feel, and the more that these feelings will be finally gone, leaving the space within you to bring what's next. Once the anger, the sadness, and the grief are all processed, you will feel extremely light, like the feeling that you would feel after a very long and horrible storm has passed, where there's still a little bit of mist floating around, but the sun is starting to come out and shine, and the first rainbows are starting to appear. Remember, processing unprocessed emotions is one of the most crucial steps for healing, since wounding happens as a consequence of certain emotions going unprocessed. That feeling of lightness that I'm talking about is proof that you are doing diligent healing work. Now that we brought awareness to what does not belong to us, put the blame where it belongs, gave back what did not belong to us, and released all the trapped feelings, it is now time to move into the next step. 6. Asking the child what it needs. By now, it is important to have a conversation with your wounded inner child. Do you need anything else? Do you need to be held? Do you need a hug? Do you need me to spend time with you? Do you need to express something else? Do you want to play? Is there anything else that is missing? Have we skipped through something? Let the child talk to you. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes the child is shy or simply does not believe that their word matters. Maybe the answer will be no, but in reality the child is saying, yes, I want to know that you will be patient with me and wait for as long as it's needed. Just take your time, and if they ask for something, please be ready to give it to them. Otherwise, do not ask. Repeat this step as much as it's needed, and then we can go finally to the last step. 7. Bring the truth into the newly emptied spaces. The truth is that you are lovable, worthy, beautiful, gifted, unique, one of a kind, perfect in your imperfections. You make mistakes, but you are not flawed. If you didn't feel that way, it was not your fault. It was your parents' lack of capacity of making you feel that way, as it is every parent's responsibility to make their children feel and know that kind of truth. Hopefully by now the child knows the truth, and all there's left to do is to start bringing those self-validating truths into their awareness. This does not mean to try to convince yourself of something that you do not believe. If you don't believe those things, then stop, don't force them in. Probably some of the steps before didn't happen all the way through. Sometimes certain steps need to be repeated because there is many layers to them. But if the child knows those things to be true, if the child can feel them without needing to convince themselves of anything, all they have to do is to hold themselves and repeat those things so that they can take the space or the empty space that the old belief system used to take. Voila! Old belief system gone, new one in, trapped emotions processed. And most importantly, your inner child has now integrated within you and will not be constantly asking for attention because now it is an integrated part of you rather than a separate one. A scar might be left, meaning that you might be sensitive for some time to any topic related to that wound, but they will not trigger you anymore. If they do, there might be another layer of healing needed around it because some wounds heal by layers. It is very important to be patient when doing healing work. You cannot rush your healing. Healing is a lifelong journey. Always approach it as such, and you will be able to enjoy it along the way. If you try to rush it, it will feel heavy and like a chore, and it might discourage you to even doing it. Here and only here is when you can finally start feeling compassion for your parents. Why? Because you will not be using that compassion to dismiss that child's anger and other feelings. And also because compassion here will come more effortless, because once the wound is healed, there will be no negative charge. If a wound heals, no matter what they have done, then the negative charge is gone and you can naturally start seeing them through compassionate eyes. Another way of saying that is that compassion can't naturally and genuinely flow through the parts of one's heart that are in pain, holding resentment, anger, or other negative feelings towards someone. So, rather than forcing compassion through a place of your heart where it cannot naturally flow, bypassing your real feelings and preventing the healing process to move forward, do it when it is effortless after the healing process has completed. This will bring honest and genuine peace in your relationship to your parents in those parts that you have healed, but not in those parts that you have not. So you might need to do this process again many times in different places of your heart about different events that have happened throughout your life and your childhood. I do this process continuously. It is essential to master. It might sound like a lot and it might take some time to learn. But once you do, it is by far the most effective healing tool that I would recommend for anyone to learn, and it becomes easier each time, like anything that you practice. Practice makes perfect, and if there's anything that I think is worth being perfect at, is at self-healing. 2 more quick but important things. Every time I said the word parent in this video, you can change it for any other person that has wounded you. I use the word parent because we all have parent-related wounds and most of our core wounds come from them. But you can use the word uncle, grandpa, teacher, best friend, boyfriend, or literally anything else you want. Second, this topic is impossible to give in its totality in a 20-minute video. I did my best to summarize it in a way that it would still be useful. However, this is a much larger topic, and I will be working on releasing an online course at some point where I will be teaching you how to do self-healing by going much deeper in identifying, releasing, and healing your deepest wounds. So stay tuned for that one. Hey, I'm recording this after the video was already finished, but I wanted to give you a little gift. It is a summary of everything that you just watched, nicely put together in a beautiful PDF, so that you can take a look at it anytime that you need to refresh your memory. This will give you access to the PDF of this and all my other videos. The link is in the description below. I hope that you learned something new today, and I really hope that you can do as much healing as you can. I am here with you. We are all in the same boat. We are all doing this together. As I always say, doing healing work is really hard, but it is much harder not to do it. However much effort it takes, it is absolutely worth it. The rewards of it highly exceed the effort that it takes. And as always, thank you for your interest in healing and for your attention. Now, have you liked this video and subscribed to the channel yet? If you didn't, that helps channels that are just starting like mine grow. So I would appreciate that a lot. And I'll see you in next week's video. Click on the left square to watch another video I made on a related topic. All my content is free. If you appreciate it and wish to assist me to continue releasing this kind of content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You can also follow me on my socials and subscribe to this channel.